Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show.
I am Leah Remini. Ask me anything about Scientology. Mike Rinder, I think the most important thing for me was finding other people who understood what it was that I had experienced. Instead of going, "Oh my God, that's amazing," or, "Is that really true?" they would actually understand and we could talk about it and say we get it. Leah, yeah. I have a group of friends. We get together and that's all we do. We don't even invite our husbands because they don't know what the hell we're talking about. So, I would suggest people create a little support group for themselves. Mike Rinder, when you connect up with those sort of people, you realize that you weren't crazy. Leah, right. This is what I want to say to people like you and people like this person who wrote to us through Reddit is that my advice would be that you have been given a blessing of a second chance at life. Live your life. Enjoy your life. Had you not gone through what you've been through in Scientology, you might not be cherishing the moments that you have with your children now. With your wife now. You have a real relationship now. In the Sea Org, you didn't have a relationship. You never even saw your wife and now you're able to appreciate a real life. So, I say cherish your life now. How much did you pay to the church throughout your time there? Leah, millions. Leah, they like to say that there's free courses and it doesn't cost a lot to be a Scientologist. Jeffrey Augustine, that's the PR answer. You're supposed to give as much money as they can get from you. Mike Rinder, that's exactly right. Jeffrey Augustine, there's no end to the amount of money they will take. If you're a public member, paying to get auditing to go from the beginning all the way up to OT8, the generally accepted number is about $360,000. Leah, so how do people do it who are not rich? Jeffrey Augustine, they take out second and third mortgages on their homes or they live in apartments. They drive really crappy cars. If you ever go to a Scientology event, you will see a few wealthy cars and everything else are old cars. You sacrifice. You work extra jobs and you go without. Leah, good point. You go without. And that's what's so painful. People are giving up living to finance their actual religion. Jeffrey Augustine, L. Ron Hubbard said there's nothing more valuable than Scientology. You're asked to give up your retirement funds and college funds for your children. This is insane. If all Scientology's secrets were revealed tomorrow, which do you think would be most shocking? When you reach the top of the bridge, OTP8, you will be told that God is a lie for LRH, and there are more levels ahead, that will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. There is no end to Scientology. Do the higher-ups know it's a scam or do they really believe this crap? The higher-up is singular. And he definitely knows. However, I believe most parishioners and Sea Org members, people who work for the church, are into dark and believe that they are doing amazing things for the world. And David Miscavige is directly responsible for that fraud. How do the powers that be in Scientology keep their followers from reading anti-Scientology news or your book? Why don't more Scientologists leave? Great question. Because very early on in the brainwashing process, L. Ron Hubbard's technology teaches you that outside sources, i.e., the news, the internet, books, magazines, are all lies and hellbent on destroying something decent like Scientology. The AMA and APA and all governments do not give Scientology its due because they have a vested interest in not healing people and not helping people. And Scientology is in the business of making people better. So Scientologists are taught that their safest bet is to get their info from the only true decent people, and those are Scientologists. And if they look on the internet, if they read Time Mag, they will be met with punishment at their expense. And, as a Scientologist, you have to confess that you've read outside materials, and that will be met with punishment at your expense. Are you safe? Yes, I feel very safe. I have the support of my family and friends. And, I feel strangely protected by the world at large. What is your overall opinion on organized religion now? Did your view on, say, Christianity change? Yes, my view of religion changed in that I am no longer a bigot against people's religious beliefs when it doesn't harm other people, promote killing people for their beliefs, like extremism. But if religion brings you comfort, hope, and a sense of community, I say, whatever works for you. Is it true they record your meetings and blackmail you with the recordings? Yes, every therapy room is equipped with cameras and listening devices, as admitted by the church. Do they use it for blackmail? No, they use it to discredit you when you speak out. How are they able to recruit intelligent people into what appears to be an obvious scam and cult? Most Scientologists are second or third generation. They were born and raised into an ideology and have been surrounded and isolated. It is all they know. They are victims. Most of the original Scientologists are all out and have spoken out. Unfortunately, their children were indoctrinated by them, are still loyal, faithful, and have cut off communication due to the policy of disconnection. This is what's terrifying about Scientology. Not only is it dangerous in its fair game policies and abuse of religious freedom laws, but despite its young age, it's already beginning to indoctrinate children as a primary function. It should have been gone decades ago, but it's held on. Considering that Scientology is consistently painted in such a negative light, how did you maintain the commitment to Scientology for so long? Because I was taught to believe that the controversy was due to people being unaware of what Scientology was truly doing in the world, which was good things. I also felt the press was focused on making fun of Scientology and not what was important, so it was easy to turn away from the information. And also a major part of Scientology is learning how to fight your critics. If I wasn't fighting, I wasn't being a good Scientologist. I also felt the press was focused on making fun of Scientology and not what was important, so it was easy to turn away from the information. I do think the press has, by and large, been derelict in their coverage of Scientology and treated it more as a sideshow to mock than anything else. The truth is that the press should do a much better job at investigating. I think it is interesting though, because this is largely how some politicians work. The mainstream press has been looking down their noses at certain politicians, so the politicians convince their followers that everybody in the media is a liar with an agenda. Pretty soon, it doesn't matter what the press publishes, the followers are programmed to just not believe it. In both cases, I think the press inflicts a wound on itself and enables those who want to brainwash people not to pay attention to the media. What is the most unusual, corrective action you've seen them physically do to someone? The most abusive thing that I've experienced is seeing the victims being further victimized by an organization that claims these things did not take place, from physical, to sexual, to mental abuse. Mike Rinder, for me, it was when I was in the hole. The hole is the place where people at the international base were kept 24/7 under guard. There was a big conference room that had a big table in it, and the carpet there was industrial strength carpet, and people, myself included, were made to crawl around on their hands and knees around this big table, and eventually your hands become bloodied and your knees become bloodied, and the next day you're doing it again, so it never really heals. I still have a little scar on my left knee from doing that. Leah, and that was just usual. That was just every day. Mike Rinder, yeah. Leah, other than being punched and slapped and ridiculed. Mike Rinder, yup. Leah, when I was in Scientology, I used to hear information about Sea Org members saying that they were abused. I remember thinking if that were true, then the police would be raiding this place and the FBI would be doing something. If this were true, how come no one has done anything about it? And I want you to talk about that. Mike Rinder, the primary reason is because people within in Scientology are indoctrinated heavily. The law enforcement, the FBI, the police, they're all horrible, suppressive people. So, the concept of even going to them is something that just never enters the mind of a Scientologist. Leah, not to mention, your doctrine says if you prosecute a Scientologist, you will be expelled and shunned. So, there's the fear of losing your family and everything you've ever known. Mike Rinder, I actually wrote an article on my blog that is called, Dealing with Critics of Scientology, the L. Ron Hubbard Playbook. It has all of these documents in there. Leah, I want people to see this. I don't want to be just like Scientology and say, believe me. I don't need you to believe me. I need you to Google it yourself. Mike Rinder, I need you to believe Scientology. Go look at their stuff. Leah, go look at their policies. Go Google Scientology and disconnection, Scientology and coerced abortions, Scientology and physical and mental abuse. Just Google it. Make your own decisions. I'm doing exactly the opposite of what the church will tell its parishioners. And I'm sweating. That's the thing. I get so passionate about everything that I talk about that I start sweating just saying one thing. Over the past 10 years, I've seen my parents get deeper and deeper into Scientology. Decent reasoning, science, and logic have done nothing to convince them to question the church. From someone who left, is there anything a loved one can do to help a brainwashed member see the truth, without ruining the relationship completely? Fight like hell. Never give up. No. Really, honestly, no. You need to understand that they're brainwashed. You need to understand that they think that out in the real world Scientology is doing amazing things. They don't know what is going on in the real world. Maybe a relationship might be damaged for a short time, but you have to take the step. You have to fight. You have to fight for your family members that are in. We can't fight for your family members. Believe me, I would love to walk into a Scientology church and grab your son and daughter, but they're going to tell me to go F myself. You need to do it. If they're underage, you have every right to ring the bell, wherever they are, and say, I want my family member. I want to speak to them alone. I want to speak to them outside of these gates without a representative of the church. You have every right to do it, and you should do it. As a psychologist, I am curious what you observed as mental health treatment with Scientology. In addition, I am aware that church is against psychology. How was this opposition demonstrated within or by the church? Finally, in your opinion, how prevalent are mental health difficulties with the Scientology community? Thank you for your time. The church doctrine thinks that fields of psychology and psychiatry are a sham. They deny mental illness and afflictions. They promote that you can heal your psychosomatic issues with their technology. They will get in the way of people taking medications. They will prevent people from getting the real medical help that they need, and in some cases have caused suicides because of it. Scientology is mentally abusive because we are all taught that we are responsible for everything. We can, almost correctly, assume that celebrities receive special treatment because of their status. Could you elaborate more on that? For instance, how would your experiences in the church differ from someone who is not a celebrity? And a follow-up, do you think that more celebrities would like to break free from the church but are afraid because of the repercussions? Is there any merit to the claim that there's so much dirt on them that could be exposed that they may not want to leave? Hope you convince others to follow your path. We had special course rooms in separate parts of the buildings. Any complaint we had about the outside world was met with agreement from the church. We were serviced differently. We had supervisors doing courses in our homes, giving special schedules to celebrities. Staff was interrogated by the church. Oftentimes there were Sea Org members working for celebrities in their homes, personally working for them. I know of one celeb who had a Sea Org member working in their home, and Sea Org members were averaging $25 per week. The labor laws don't apply to any church, therefore they were made to work ungodly hours, forced into interrogations if making human mistakes around the celebrity.
If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.